This fight is drenched with unbelievable heartache, controversy, and what could have been.
He hurt Chavez just then. Incredible fight by Meldrick Taylor.
Chavez on the verge of going down.
I can't believe it!
Unbelievable!
Meldrick Taylor came from the tough streets of Philly and was a slick boxer with some of the fastest hands anybody's ever seen to this day. Meldrick was a member of the highly touted 1984 U.S. Boxing Olympic team with the likes of Evander Holyfield and Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker and many others. Meldrick comes into his fight against Chavez at 24-0. Chavez, on the other hand, only had somewhere around 15 amateur fights and turned pro at about 14, 15 years old in Mexico. And by this point, when they met to fight in 1990, Meldrick Taylor was 24-0. Chavez had already accumulated an unbelievable record of 66-0. 1 year before Chavez and Taylor fight, Julio Cesar Chavez goes up against Roger Mayweather, right? We all know Floyd Mayweather's uncle and trainer. Roger was a great fighter. He was known as the Black Mamba. He had serious power. He had that slick Mayweather defense. And they fought 1 year earlier in 1989. Now, an interesting fact here is Chavez had 6 fights in between facing Roger Mayweather and Meldrick Taylor. So that's 6 fights within 1 year. And that shows you how old school it was and how rough and tough these guys were. That means he was fighting every 2 months, Chavez, and he was a world champion at this point. Not like these guys today who fight twice or once a year even. Their fight starts off kind of as you expect. You had the slick Mayweather staying on the outside, boxing, hitting Chavez a little bit, tagging him up while Chavez is pressuring him and trying to figure him out.
Just about twice as big as Chavez. He's snapping that jab out, Tim. If he keeps that up, it's going to be a tough, long night for Chavez.
WBA champion Roger Mayweather. He scores a good combination. That rock.
So soon into the fight, Chavez ends up doing something that's smart and really ironic. He ends up countering Roger Mayweather's jab with a pull counter coming right over the top with his straight right hand. Now, why this is really ironic is because that's what Floyd Mayweather, Roger's nephew, made a whole career out of doing and was the master at. Chavez's power and aggression and ring smarts ends up overwhelming Roger Mayweather, and Mayweather ends up getting stopped. Now, keep a close eye on the actual referee who does stop this fight, because that plays a huge role in this entire story.
And what set that up, Mayweather slid to his right beautifully. He just was right.
Yes, he is. Mayweather had a slip. Evidently, there was no count, but he's in difficulty.
That can cause
Down he
damage to
goes
the fight.
again. Chavez comes in with a right hand lead. Mayweather still in difficulty trying to. Chavez pouring it on. He's got him again. And Richard Steele has stopped it.
Right before he steps up and faces Meldrick Taylor, he goes against tough Argentinian Alberto Cortez. Now, here you see Chavez prime, vicious body shots and headshots. An example of Chavez's defense, he stays in the pocket and is able to just pick off shots with his gloves by just lifting the glove an inch or two on each side. And here you see Chavez also landing that counter straight right hand over the jab, which plays a huge story in this entire show.
Julio Cesar está apretando y aquí.
So now, just 4 fights before he squares off against Julio Cesar Chavez, Meldrick Taylor goes up for the IBF World Lightweight title, facing Strong Island's own James Buddy McGirt. Now, this is Meldrick's first crack at a title, and he lets everybody know that the gold medal he won was not a fluke. Buddy starts off sticking and moving and trying to box with Meldrick Taylor, and he kind of does a pretty good job at it in the beginning.
Whether he changed Alcerdo's mind or not remains to be seen. He is a stiff-legged, tired champion, gamely back.
Now pay attention here to when Meldrick ducks out of the way of shots, how he goes down with his hands by his side, and he goes straight down with his head and his eyes looking toward the ground, right? So when he comes back up, he doesn't see what's coming, because this is going to play a big role later in this story.
Despite Taylor's effort to reopen. A good right thrown by McGirt that landed. That got Meldrick's attention.
It did.
But then Meldrick starts showing his superior boxing skills and speed and begins overwhelming Buddy.
Just going to say, Buddy just seems to have a little bit more on his punches. He woke Meldrick up, and now Meldrick's pinned Buddy on the ropes. And his...
Now here, at this point, all that dancing around, boxing, and moving, and Meldrick Taylor's blistering combinations have got Buddy totally drained.
Get him apart here today.
I mean, if you were here at the beginning of the fight, you heard the comments by the ring insiders about Buddy McGirt, and really what a great fighter is. Meldrick Taylor just has had everything his own way. He's handled him.
And here, Meldrick caps it all off with a sizzling fast 12-punch combo.
Only chance, but he's catching now as he comes in.
In 1989, just one fight before clashing with Chavez, Meldrick Taylor takes on Rocky Balboa. Well, his real name is Jamie Rocky Balboa, but he went by Rocky Balboa. He takes him on in his hometown in Philadelphia and electrifies the crowd.
Coming off that knee injury, he said he wasn't totally satisfied with some of his punches.
Here we see another clear-cut example of Meldrick Taylor's defense, how again he puts his hands down by his side and then ducks his head straight down like this. Straight down with his eyes facing the ground, his head all the way down, his waist all the way bent over. Now again, pay attention to this because this plays a huge role later in the story.
We now pause for... What a guy similar to this type of... Oh, there's a ball. There's a flinch. Fight's over. There goes the mouthpiece. Frank kept...
The stage was set for the classic duo in boxing. Rugged, tough, aggressive Mexican fighter versus a slick American fighter with serious speed.
Corner won't want him to do. Right hand lead by Chavez.
Right in the beginning here, as they're filling each other out, Chavez is able to catch Meldrick with that counter straight right hand that he throws over Meldrick's jab. This whole fight is all about distance. All right, and this is going to play a huge part moving forward.
Guard. Good right hand in here.
You see the right hand of Taylor. He's dropping it.
Yep, and Chavez is throwing over the top of Taylor now, beginning to land with more consistency. Right hand leads, doing the damage for Chavez now. A solid left inside.
So soon into the fight, Meldrick is starting to find his distance and his range, and he's starting to be able to throw those lightning fast combinations and then step out and be completely out of Chavez's range to counter.
Taylor lands a vicious right hand. Good right hand lead by Taylor. Still trading 4 blows to 1 for Chavez. Chavez tries the left inside. Taylor comes right back.
Won this fight in fine fashion. Now get out.
Solid left hand.
He's been doing what he needs to do. Boxing, just boxing, using speed.
So now here we see Taylor start doing something that, I don't know if that comes from him maybe getting a little tired, or maybe it's just that Philly brawler in him, but he starts staying in the pocket with Chavez and kind of leaning into Chavez's chest, and they're kind of leaning into each other chest for chest and exchanging. So now this, obviously, the word distance I mentioned, this takes away Meldrick Taylor's ability to use the distance in his favor.
Again, Jim, this kind of fight, this inside fight, it wears a fighter down.
Right hand leads.
In these blistering exchanges where Meldrick Taylor is beginning to outland Chavez 4 punches to 1 on the regular, one thing's to be noted. Now, although Meldrick Taylor has a legendary chin and absorbs his shots, Chavez's shots, no problem, Chavez's shots are still seeming to do way more damage. But on the scorecards, it's still 4 punches to 1, and Meldrick's building up a huge advantage on points.
This is a masterful fight with Meldrick Taylor.
Solid left.
Chavez has not done damage to the body like he usually does.
He hurt Chavez just then. Chavez buckled.
In about the 11th. Like I say, I don't know.
Control this entire fight. So what he needs to do is maintain that.
Chavez landed a left. Taylor flurries furiously in return.
Now we're a few rounds into the fight, and Meldrick Taylor is building a huge lead on the scorecards, and he's still able to basically box, throw his flurries, and step out and get out of Chavez's range. The fatigue hasn't really set in for Meldrick, although Chavez's one-shot landing out of Meldrick's 5, that one shot is starting to build up a cumulative effect on Meldrick Taylor's face.
Left by Chavez, and more blood comes out of Taylor's mouth. Taylor begins to flurry with the left again. Necessary chance to get back into this. Look at the speed of Meldrick Taylor's flurries.
Now here in round 9, Chavez's vicious body shots and more importantly his vicious head shots are starting to have a cumulative effect on Meldrick Taylor. It slowed him down. Meldrick isn't able to move as much from fatigue. And also Meldrick is starting to do something that's becoming very detrimental. He's starting to sit in the pocket too long and lean straight down, kind of with his head and his eyes facing the ground, and either move or just stay right there, kind of with his arms up like this, leaving holes underneath for Chavez to come across with uppercuts and also come over with shots. Another reason why Meldrick Taylor is also dropping his hands low here is because Chavez's body shots are really taking a toll. As a matter of fact, after the fight, one of the main things that Meldrick Taylor had to deal with in the hospital was he was urinating blood from the kidney damage from those pounding, thumping hard shots.
Chavez with a... See here, when Taylor's telling me that he can block the left hook to the body with his arms. He's doing a good job of that.
He's carried out George Benton's game plan to perfection.
Whoa, beautiful combination.
Trading punches inside, and Chavez again seems to wobble slightly as Taylor lands it.
Now, even though Meldrick was taking some hard shots, he's fatigued at this point, he's slowed down, he still had that Philly fighter in him. And he still had that 1 out of a million hand speed, where here he does something I've never seen before. He manages to fire off a 20-punch combo.
Brilliant stuff from Meldrick Taylor. Chavez on the verge of going down. Brilliant stuff from Meldrick Taylor. Chavez on the verge of going down.
The closest thing I've ever seen, even similar to this, is what Roy Jones did to Vinny Pazienza.
No showboat's back. The no showboat promise is over. Straight hook by Jones, and Pazienza.
Now he smiles as he slips a punch.
Incredible fight by Mel. The tempo of the fight and the combination he's been throwing.
Distance. Now remember I said that distance is what this fight's all about. Now right here, Julio Cesar Chavez is able to create his own distance by just taking one step back and keeping Taylor in that range where he could hit him. Now don't forget, at this point, Taylor's too fatigued and battered to be able to use his faster feet to get out of Chavez's range and create his own distance.
Blood again from the mouth and the nostrils. Again from the mouth and the nostrils.
Watch
Both
the
eyes
legs.
beginning to close. Chavez is coming on.
Watch the legs of Taylor.
So again, Meldrick is doing that duck down move where his eyes are facing down in the ground and his head's down, and he comes right back up. The difference now is he's fatigued, so he's going down even slower and coming back even slower, so it's way easier for Chavez to time him coming back up now. And when he comes up, he doesn't even see what he's walking right into, and these shots are starting to accumulate.
At a time.
Chavez finally seizing the initiative.
Look at the combination.
As round 11 comes toward a close, Julio Cesar Chavez must begin to cut his streak in before thousands of his countrymen.
The impressive thing, he's still seeing combinations thrown by Meldrick.
True to his Philly grit, Meldrick is still valiantly trying to fire back, but at this point, he has almost nothing left on his shots.
7th round, incredible.
2 hard punches.
And as the final bell rings for the last round. All Meldrick seemingly has to do is stay away, and he wins the fight 'cause he's so far ahead on the scorecards. But again, he's tired and has that Philly fighter in him, and he's gonna come hard no matter what anybody says. Now here you see Chavez do two things wrapped up into one. He uses that distance, steps back and creates that distance, and then counters Meldrick's jab with that overhand right.
Push Chavez out. Play it safe and box.
To get out.
With Taylor. He's feeling like he's behind on points.
Well, they're both tired. Another solid left hook from Meldrick Taylor.
Here we have 40 seconds left in the round. 41 technically. And Meldrick Taylor's exhausted. Now for some reason his corner tells him right before, go out and win this round. Instead of letting him know you're far ahead, that they should recognize he's exhausted, he's a little battered, stay away, you'll win. So Meldrick, mixed with his corner's advice and that Philadelphia tough-nosed fighter, keeps going at Chavez. Now Chavez sees that he has a weary man, and Chavez is keeping that distance, and you see right here, in a little bit, he lands the first straight right that for the first time in the whole fight really hurts Meldrick. I want you to pay real close attention to here is the second shot people don't realize is that knocks Meldrick across the ring going towards Chavez is a shot that lands on top of the head or kind of behind the head. And that's not, Chavez didn't hit him on top of the head or behind the head on purpose. Meldrick was doing that same pattern he's been doing all fight, where he leans straight down with his eyes facing the ground and his head's all the way down. So when Chavez throws a punch, it catches Meldrick's head, happens to be right there. Now anybody who's fought before knows that that shot in the back of the head is a huge equilibrium destabilizer. It throws you all out of sorts. Sometimes it could keep you that way for the whole fight. As Chavez has Taylor stumbling down into the corner, it's funny how everything comes for a full circle. Chavez knows he's hurt, steps back, and waits for Taylor to throw that jab, and like he's done all fight, Chavez comes over the top with that straight right counter. But this time, it does way more damage and drops Taylor because Taylor is spent. So Meldrick Taylor goes down. Now he gets up at the count of 6. And at that point, referee Richard Steele finishes his mandatory 8 count and goes into Meldrick's face and says, "Are you okay?" Now if you look, as he's saying, "Are you okay?" this is off camera, but Meldrick Taylor's manager, Lou Duva, jumps up on the apron and distracts Meldrick. So as Richard Steele is saying, "Are you okay?" Meldrick Taylor turns over and looks at Lou Duva, who had jumped up on the ring. Now, mind you, throughout this whole thing, Meldrick is clearly, he knows what's going on. He's coherent. He can continue.
If he gets up, he probably wins the fight. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable! Richard Steele stopped the fight with fewer than 5 seconds to go.
So there's a lot of things obviously wrong with this stoppage. First thing, Meldrick Taylor was clearly fit and ready to continue and was okay. Second thing, there was only 3 seconds left in the fight. So by the time referee Richard Steele wiped Meldrick's gloves on his shirt and told him to fight, the bell would have rang. Chavez wouldn't have even had enough time to come over, even throw a final punch.
The fight. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable!
The fight.
Here with just 3 seconds left. And then you look over and you see Meldrick's face. He's like, what? I mean, you saw the wherewithal he had to say, what the hell are you doing? He was okay. Now, Richard Steele's defense for this was that
famous right hand that Julio Cesar Chavez landed, he went down like there was no more life in him. He got up, he pulled himself up. And I asked him twice, are you all right? Are you all right? You okay? You okay? And he could not continue.
So clearly he did not go down like there was no more life in him. I mean, clearly he went down, but he was okay. He got back. And then Richard Steele afterwards follows up saying no more life in you to, well, he picked himself back up. Those are kind of contradictions. Now look, I'm not a conspiracy theory kind of guy. A lot of people tied Richard Steele's relationship to Don King, who promoted Chavez, to the reason why Richard Steele, not only in this fight but in other fights, but in this fight was very quick to stop fights. If his fighter, the one that King's fighter, had a chance to win. Some people say a fight should be stopped no matter how much time is left if the fighter's life is in danger. Now, there's some validity to a fight being stopped if the fighter's life is in danger. Yes, absolutely. But in this case, there was 3 seconds left. As I said before, by the time they resumed the fight, if the bell would have rang, you even hear the bell ring here. As Steele's waving it off, you hear the bell ring.
I can't believe it! I can't believe it!
So Chavez wouldn't have had any time to go in and throw even one more punch. Not even like one of these, old school. Nothing. So there is no reason, there's no way that this fight should have been stopped. Taylor was not in danger. Taylor deserved to get all the glory and the belts for all the hard work he put in over those 12 rounds, all the punches he did absorb. He deserved to get that victory. So what happened that night was horrible. A lot of people think it ruined Meldrick Taylor's career because he was never the same after that. And to this day, every time I watch that fight, I'm hoping for some reason I see Richard Steele finish the count and then just say, okay, fight, and hear that bell ring. And I hope to see Meldrick raise his hands.
Welterweight champion of the world, Meldrick Taylor.